In today's video, we have a variety of NHL news updates, including a longtime veteran being placed on waivers. We found out that Sidney Crosby is injured, will be out for an extended period of time. Plus, we have some updated NHL trade rumors on teams like the Sabres, Leafs, Kings, and Wild. We'll get into all the latest news coming up next. So welcome back here to Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, we have a variety of news and updates here for you today, and I want to kick things off with the NHL waiver wire news that just broke recently here, with the New York Islanders placing longtime veteran forward Andrew Ladd on waivers for the purpose of being assigned to their American Hockey League affiliate in Bridgeport should he clear, and it sounds like the New York Islanders are fairly confident that he will, and really the fact that he's had so many injuries, lack of production, and not very favorable contracts, with all that, the odds are certainly, in favor that he will clear. I can't imagine another team taking a chance on that. I mean, he's got 3 years plus the current year left, over $5.5 million per season, a form of a no-trade clause in there. Certainly not a great contract. Andrew Ladd has certainly battled a lot of injuries over the years. Certainly started the year on injured reserve, was assigned down to the American Hockey League for a conditioning stint, and Lou Lamoriello basically said that they didn't see enough out of him during that extended conditioning stint in order to really be confident that he can play at the NHL level. So now he's going through the waiver wire for a permanent placement down in the minors for at least a period of time. Hard to say at what point if he'll get another chance this year or how that's going to go. The Islanders will get a little bit of cap relief with having him buried in the minors, but certainly that contract, which was signed July 1, 2016, of course, Lamoriello wasn't the GM at the time of the Islanders. That was the previous regime. It was not a good day for NHL general managers. As we've said before, July 1st every year when free agency kicks off, it's a very fun, exciting time for fans like us, but at the same time, it can be very costly and be the day that a lot of GMs tend to make the most mistakes. There was a lot of bad contracts signed on July 1, 2016. Not only Andrew Ladd, but we saw other players like Louis Eriksson, David Backes, Kyle Okposo, Milan Lucic, Troy Brouwer, Darren Helm, just to name a few more. Like, it really wasn't a great day for NHL signings. Many of those contracts have since been bought out or have been traded for another bad contract, like in the case of Lucic. Certainly not a great day for GM. So we'll see what happens with Andrew Ladd. I can't imagine he gets claimed, but we'll confirm that tomorrow at noon Eastern time once the time frame clears, and we'll see if he ends up going down to the minors, which is what is expected right now. Hard to say what the future holds for the veteran forward at this point. Now, as we also discussed, one of the top players from the game and Penguins captain Sidney Crosby is going to be out of action for an extended period of time. It looks like it's going to be about 6 weeks, but very well could be longer. It looks like in 6 weeks' time he'll end up being reevaluated. Essentially, he had some sort of a surgery on a core muscle, which needed to be repaired after he sustained an injury here just in the last little while. So obviously Crosby is going to be out for an extended time, which is certainly going to be a big blow to the Penguins, but we've seen this team battle through a lot of other adversity, not only this year, but in years past, whether it's Crosby or Malkin or any of their top names. Letang missed a lot of time at times as well. They seem to always find a way to keep on chugging along and keep on winning. This team has already battled through a lot of other injuries so far this year, and so far have made out pretty decent. So it'll be interesting to see how the Penguins fare without their captain. Should see Sidney Crosby return to the Penguins lineup probably sometime early in the new year based on the current details that they've given us here so far. So we'll see how they make it. Wouldn't be shocking to see GM Jim Rutherford maybe consider dipping into the trade market. He will be out long enough that he will qualify, if necessary, for long-term injury reserve for cap relief for his contract. So obviously that might play a role. The Penguins do have some other things that's been discussed and rumored that they might be looking to do. There's certainly some other key guys out there. For example, maybe like a Jean-Gabriel Pageau in Ottawa, who's absolutely tearing it up right now. Has 11 goals in the season, completed a hat trick. And on a team like Ottawa, who's really struggling defensively and is a minus as a team, he's actually plus 15 and really having an awesome season so far. It's really unclear right now if they're going to end up signing him or if he will be moved before the deadline, but it might be an interesting piece for the Penguins to take a long look at if they decide to go down that road where he's not making a huge amount of money. Now, of course, there's still ongoing talks between the LA Kings and longtime veteran forward Ilya Kovalchuk. Of course, we've announced and discussed here in the last couple of days the fact that it looks as though his time in LA very well could be over, that they're not going to be playing him for the foreseeable future, and that he will be a healthy scratch. While all this gets sorted out, Pierre LeBrun's announced that more talks are ongoing between the two sides today to see what resolution they can come to. Based on comments from Rob Blake, he didn't really seem to indicate that this was going to be, a separation or a divorce, if you will, that he was was going to be a healthy scratch for, an extended time or a period of time, I think is what he said. So clearly we'll see what happens between the Kings and Kovalchuk. But regardless of what happens, unless they find a way to trade him, which I can't imagine wouldn't happen before December 15th because of that signing bonus, then they're going to be on the hook for his cap hit for this year and next. Due to the fact that he's an over 35 contract, they're not going to get any relief, but we'll wait for further updates on that situation as well. Longtime veteran goaltender and likely future Hall of Famer Roberto Luongo is officially working with the Florida Panthers organization as a special advisor to the general manager. Now, many people speculated when he announced his retirement not long before the NHL season got underway that he likely would end up working with the Panthers in some capacity, even though he retired and basically left money on the table with his NHL contract. Not quite clear exactly what they're going to be paying him in this role, but obviously he'll recoup some money still working for the franchise in a different capacity here. So we'll hard to say what his future holds if he's going to end up sticking around working in management. It gives him an opportunity to kind of feel things out, get his feet wet as a part of the management team in Florida and see what he thinks longer term. But a player like Luongo, who's been around the game so long, can certainly offer a different perspective in that group. So we'll see how things fare there, but he is officially working for the Panthers. Now, the remaining NHL trade rumors I wanted to discuss to you, most of that information comes from the latest 31 Thoughts blog by Elliot Friedman of Sportsnet. He goes on to talk a little bit about the Minnesota Wild. We've been hearing that forward Ryan Donato's name has been resurfacing in the rumor mill. Of course, Ryan Donato's been traded before and really has had a hard time finding a consistent role and consistent production since he's joined the NHL after coming out of college. So obviously that's a player to keep your eye on. But he did say in his blog that he believes GM Bill Guerin will likely want to remain a little bit patient with Donato, but he is a player that could possibly be dangled. Previously mentioned as well that another young forward in Kevin Fiala was mentioned in the rumor mill, and there's players that they very well could dangle to make other upgrades to the team. And it's been no secret that GM Bill Guerin really wants to add a top 6 scoring forward, somebody who can be like a game breaker, because they're clearly missing that main piece up front, that really star forward who can really take and control a game, take over. But that's certainly not going to be an easy task. Good luck with that. When those types of players are not typically made available, when they do, it's going to cost you a lot. I mean, they may have to go about building through the draft, which is certainly going to be a great idea. This team could really use some high draft picks and build through the draft over the next few years is what I think they need to do. Of course, they have a lot of veteran contracts that are going to be difficult to move or get underneath from. So it's really hard to say how Guerin can go about rebuilding this Wild team. But obviously, like I said, with Bill Guerin looking for a top 6 game breaker type of forward, they may have to dip into free agency, go through the draft. Making a trade is just going to be a very difficult move to make. Also mentions in his blog as well about the Buffalo Sabres, which we've touched on recently as well, looking for a scoring forward and having veteran forward Vladimir Sobotka being out for an extended period of time after taking that hit from Kucherov over in Sweden. He's going to be out long term by the looks of things. That's certainly going to make a little bit more urgency here for them to make another acquisition. Some other players like a Jimmy Vesey, for example, is not really working out. Kyle Okposo's not really working out. Another July 1, 2016 contract like we just mentioned a few minutes ago. And even youngster Casey Middlestat's not doing the greatest as well, so they could certainly use some more help there. Over the next few weeks, they should hopefully have a healthy blue line with a surplus of players where they can look to make an addition. Hard to say exactly, as we mentioned before. Some names that I had speculated on that could certainly look at would be like the guys in Minnesota, like Fiala and Donato that we discussed, plus maybe Tyler Toffoli out of LA. But based on Elliot Friedman, it looks as though that sense of urgency might be there given the current losing streak and more injuries now adding up for the Sabres. Now, it's also been reported by some other NHL insiders that the Maple Leafs are likely going to be sticking with youngster Casimir Cascusio, giving him an opportunity to play before they decide to make any trades in the goalie market. But Elliot Friedman does touch on the Leafs goaltending situation in his blog, and he indicates that should they decide to go back down that road if things don't work out with the young goaltender, some other goaltenders around the NHL that very well could be looking to trade for would be with the Coyotes and Eric Comrie. He mentions the Pittsburgh Penguins duo of Tristan Jarry and Casey DeSmith. And he also mentions Alex Stalock of the Minnesota Wild as some potential trade targets that he feels very well could be made available for the right price. Of course, depending on the Leafs salary cap situation at the time, that the price very well may prove to be difficult. Obviously, they've had to use a lot of long-term injury reserve this year with the injuries they've had starting the season, and now have accumulated since then as well. So I guess we'll have to wait and see, but there's certainly some other goaltenders out there that he feels the Leafs should be looking at should things not work out with the youngster from the American Hockey League. So that is all your news updates for today. Of course, as always, we'll know your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section. So let me know what your thoughts are on all these news topics, and we'll discuss further. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing and turning on your notifications so you don't miss any future content, and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it as well. I'd appreciate it if you did. As always, thank you for watching, and I will catch you next time.